Hello and welcome to the Transfer Window Special. The summer transfer window has now officially shut. The business is nearly completed, and over the next 30 minutes we'll be wrapping up all of the deadline day movers and shakers, as well as taking a look back at the window overall. Here are some of the biggest stories that have emerged from this summer. Just taking a look at it then, Ekitike to Liverpool. Quite a big signing there. Manchester United done plenty of business. Matheus Cunha is one of those players who've come in. Florian Wirtz alongside him on your screen, going to Liverpool as well. Huge signing. Tijani Reinders to Manchester City. What a debut he had. Liam Delap at the bottom of the screen. Unfortunate injury for him, but big signing. Jack Grealish is major for Everton. Started off already with 4 assists in 2 games. Brian Mbeumo has made a fantastic start to life at Manchester United. But on the left of the screen there, Eberechi Eze, the hijack from Arsenal, was probably one of the biggest stories. It's been quite a dramatic transfer window, and it's been a dramatic deadline day as well. So we're going to be wrapping up all the deadline day moves, and we're going to talk transfer window overall. And to do that, we've brought in the big guns. Here is Michael Owen and Darren Lewis. Michael, what a dramatic deadline day. So much has happened.
I think it's the biggest ever. Looking at all, not just today, but of course the whole deadline. I mean, the British transfer record has been smashed twice by the same team, which is quite incredible. So yeah, big players have been moving today. Some huge moves. I mean, sometimes it can just fall away, and you think, oh, what was all the razzmatazz all about? It's not, it's not so good. But today there's been some real big ones as well. So yeah. Unbelievable. So much money spent, so much excitement. I mean, how can Liverpool buy so many players when they're already the champions? It's crazy. We're
going to hear from Darren in just a bit, because we need him to explain to us all about the deadlines and how much time is actually left. But we're going to Anfield now because, as you mentioned, huge for Liverpool. And we can join our reporter, Danny Jameson, now. And Danny, huge, as Michael mentioned, in terms of record-breaking. What is the latest, though, on Alexander Isak? And what's the latest on Marc Guéhi? Are they Liverpool players? Has that been confirmed?
Well, the answer to both of them right now is no. They have not been confirmed yet as Liverpool players. Let's start with Alexander Isak, because that's a little bit more simple. It broke late last night that Newcastle and Liverpool had agreed a British record transfer fee of £125 million for the Swedish striker. He travelled to Liverpool today. He had his medical at the Kirby Training Centre just outside the city. And we believe there's be no hitches, no hiccups with that at all. We're just awaiting confirmation. He was due to fly out to join up with his Swedish teammates during this international break. They played 2 World Cup qualifiers, the first on Friday in Slovenia, and then they travelled to Kosovo on Monday. That flight was due to leave around 6:30 UK time. That's been pushed back, we believe, to 8:10. So he's still somewhere in the city, we think, but we're just awaiting confirmation on that. As for Marc Guéhi, a little bit more complicated. He scored, of course, for Crystal Palace last night. He gave a very nice interview to the British media about how much his time at Palace had meant to him. And at that point, Oliver Glasner, the Crystal Palace manager, had some conversations with the Palace hierarchy and made it quite clear that he didn't want him to leave, particularly without any replacement signed. That made it sound like he was not going to be a Liverpool player and he would stay at Crystal Palace for the rest of this season. However, this morning, it sounded like there had been some movement and the 2 clubs had ended up agreeing a fee of around £35 million for the England international. He was then given permission to have his medical, which he did in London today. But then the problem became, just as he finished his medical, the news broke that Palace's choice of replacement, Igor Julio, the Brazilian centre-back who plays for Brighton, was due to join on loan. However, he then decided he'd rather join West Ham United. So that left Palace without any replacements. They have, though, later on today, they have confirmed the signing of the young French centre-back JD Canvo from Toulouse. They paid around £23 million for the 19-year-old. He's a France under-20 international, very highly rated. He will come into Oliver Glasner's first team. But they wanted 2 centre-back replacements before they allowed Marc Guéhi to leave. The transfer window, of course, shot at 7 p.m. time here in the UK. But they have reportedly submitted a deal sheet. What that effectively allows Palace and Liverpool to do is buy them an extra 2 hours of time to complete the relevant paperwork. Now, whether that is time to allow Palace to complete another signing to replace Guéhi and allow that to go, or whether that is maybe for them to persuade him to stay for the season. We're not sure, but we are awaiting still any sort of confirmation that Marc Guéhi will be a Liverpool player this season.
Danny, thank you very much for the update. Just wondering, are you going to be following that plane or...
Well, we're tracking it as best we can. One did fly over Anfield about 30 minutes ago. We believe it is still, it wasn't his, and he's still somewhere in the city, maybe doing some nice photographs for the social media announcement later on this evening. Yeah, because those have become very, very elaborate. Danny is on transfer watch. He's also on flight watch for us. Thank you so much, Danny. Darren, it's all very complicated. I thought transfer window shuts at 7, and that is it. He's talked about deal sheets. Now there's a grace period until a little bit later on. Explain it to us, please.
Well, actually, the deal sheet is because there have been, over the years, a rash of clubs that managed to get their paperwork in just within the shadow of the line. So what the Premier League introduced was this mechanism which allows clubs to say, listen, we've got this deal done, but we haven't had all the required paperwork through just yet. So it allows them to have until 9 o'clock, 2100 hours British summertime, to be able to get that paperwork in. If the paperwork doesn't arrive, then the deal will not be able to go ahead.
So that's why we know that they've had medicals and we cannot yet confirm.
Yes. Indeed. Enzo Fernandez is a really good example of a transfer that went under the wire. Chelsea obviously smashed the transfer record at the time to get him done. It was late on transfer deadline day, but they hadn't yet got the required paperwork through. The deal sheet allowed them to get that transfer over the line.
You're just seeing at the bottom of your screen there a record-breaking transfer window in terms of the Premier League and British clubs spending £2.7 billion in this window. It has seen a flurry of activity. And what's interesting for me is this domino effect. Alexander Isak, what does that mean for Yohan Wissa? What did you think about Wissa and going to Newcastle?
Well, I think it was always going to happen. But all of these things, I can understand people thinking, why did everybody leave it so late? But that's it. It's a game of cat and mouse. It's a negotiating tool. And if you're in a position of strength, then, of course, the longer you leave it, the more strength you have. But then that means everybody else has got to wait because of the domino effect. And that's why you always get these deals done late on. So this time it's been in the striking department. Obviously, lots of teams waiting for Isak, let's say. Newcastle wanting to bring people in. Of course, centre-halves as well with the Guéhi situation. So it always happens. It frustrates a lot of people, but it will always happen. And no matter what time you put on it, you know, if you give somebody another 2-hour grace, well, you'll just keep pushing it back, wouldn't you? So if it was slam shut at midnight, then everybody would go to midnight. So you've got to have a time on it, and it's always going to go.
It's such a good point as well, because I think sometimes it works against a club. Newcastle, they paid around about £20 million more than they thought they would do for Wissa, because given the fact that Isak has dug his heels in all the way up to the wire, he's now gone to Liverpool. They've now had to go and get someone to replace him. And because Brentford know that they now are in a position of strength, they can slap an extra few quid on and they've got to pay that money.
Absolutely. And Newcastle have almost, in both situations, been not hard done by, but they've been the ones with the weaker hand.
Yes.
Because obviously, so everybody was saying 150 million for Isak. Actually, Liverpool have got him for 125, which is an incredible deal. 25 million short of what a lot of people thought. And then, of course, Newcastle, on the other hand, are wanting Wissa so much that they've probably paid 15, 20 million over the odds for that. So they've come out probably on the wrong side of the supply and demand chain, as we call it.
Yeah, it's so funny. Things happened so quickly today. I came in and said, Guéhi's gone for sure because Igor Julio has gone to Crystal Palace. And you were like, no, that's all changed in the last little bit. It's been an interesting one for goalkeepers as well. Big day for goalkeepers moving. Donnarumma rumours had been going for a couple of weeks. And now it looks like City in advanced talks. That deadline, as you mentioned, not quite as set in stone. So we'll find out in the next few hours with Ederson in advanced talks to join Fenerbahce, set to join Fenerbahce.
Yeah, I think the deal sheet might well be in effect in that situation because Donnarumma, world class, but obviously PSG said they could do without him. He has now left the club or will be available to leave the club. And Manchester City are the ones that have come in for him. The talks have been ongoing. As always, City don't broadcast their transfer business, they get deals done, and then you know about it. but essentially they're going to replace one high-class goalkeeper for one who's won the Champions League. I still can't believe that to be the case. You would speak to that far better than I could.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great surprise, really, why Manchester City would be letting Ederson go. But if they are going to let him go, which seems likely, then, you know, what better replacement can you find than Donnarumma? I mean, incredible goalkeeper. And on the other side of the city, a bit of a shuffle around of goalkeepers there as well. I think Manchester United fans remains to be seen. But I think at the moment they'll be a little bit disappointed. Originally, Donnarumma was rumoured to potentially be going to Manchester United. And then, of course, you know, Aston Villa goalkeeper. You were thinking that he could be coming. But then, obviously, it's they've settled on somebody else who not many people have heard of, but we'll see.
Zena Lammens from Royal Antwerp. We did the match last night, and Emi Martinez was left out. And, you know, following the rumours with linking him to Manchester United and Villa saying it's not an injury, surely that was a done deal. And that's all changed again just today. I'm
sorry for Emi Martinez. In tears, applauding the fans. He's going to have to go back there now.
I thought it was a done deal. Outgoings at Manchester United today. Antony gone to Real Betis, Rasmus Højlund to Napoli, and then Sancho to Villa as well, and Lindelof as well to Aston Villa. They've done plenty of business today with Harvey Elliott.
Aston Villa have, yes. Manchester United losing those three players. I mean, they're three players that they wanted to get out, but wow, how much money have they lost on all of those players? Do you know what? Sometimes you've just got to cut it off and say, do you know what? They haven't worked, and that's what they've done. So they'll be relieved to get them out the door. Aston Villa, they've got a few players, but you just feel as if they're always restricted by, you know, the financial side of things. Let's say Aston Villa are a strange club in that they tend to go for a lot of players that, you know, on loan. Big wages. Asensio was one. Rashford was another. A lot of these players tend to attract Aston Villa. Harvey Elliott could be a good signing. I'm not sure whether it was on loan to start with and then
it is a loan.
Maybe to pay at the end of the season. But they've done a fair bit of business in the end. They look quite light up front. Of course, they've lost Duran quite a few months ago now. They look quite light in that situation. But they've done a fair bit of late business.
Yeah, they have. And just thinking about that amount of money you mentioned with Antony, I think it's over £62 million that they've lost out on that. Spurs also with some deadline day drama. Randall Kolo Muani, PSG player, but been on loan at Juventus. Yeah,
26 years of age, scored 8 goals in 16 appearances during the second half of last season for Juventus. He's a really good player. He solves that problem of losing Son Heung-min, who was pretty much past his best by the time Spurs let him go during this window. But Kolo Muani, a really good player and someone who can play centre forward and allow Thomas Frank to kind of reconfigure his front six in any way, shape or form he sees fit, because he also has Solanke as well. He's got some really good options, and now that Solanke has the ankle problem that he probably will be out with for a few weeks, Kolo Muani's perfect.
Crazy deadline day, really busy. Very quickly before we go to the break, what's been the biggest, assuming that the deal sheets and all the paperwork gets done, all the technicalities, biggest deadline day mover?
Oh, I mean, it has to be Liverpool. It has to be. And Isak, I mean, that's just so exciting. I mean, they've already got some great players. I'm fascinated to see how they're going to fit them all in now.
Yeah, I totally agree. Isak is just a game changer for Liverpool, and he could be the player that sees them basically dominate for the next 3 or 4 years.
The transfer window has officially shut, but as Darren Lewis explained to us, plenty more drama still to come because of deal sheets, paperwork to be confirmed. And the latest news we are hearing is that the Marc Guéhi deal could be off. So it's unconfirmed reports just yet, and we'll keep you updated as much as we can. We're going to move on to the deals that we can confirm and that we know have actually happened. Who has won the transfer window for you, Darren?
We were discussing this, and we kind of think that because so many deals have been done earlier in the summer, people forget the quality of the business that has been done. I think if you look at the Liverpool game, Arsenal showed just how good their business was. Saka injured, they've got Madueke in that position. Zubimendi in front of the back four. Mascara comes in for Saliba, who was injured, 10, 15 minutes into the match. And, of course, there was one other, wasn't there? Gyökeres filling that slot up front that so many people said they needed to fill. It's terrific business because obviously Havertz is injured, but people aren't thinking about anymore the players that aren't there. They're thinking about the players who are.
Yeah.
You could go around the teams. Tottenham have had a very good window. Everton have done well. Of course, I think Liverpool are the winners. I mean, they're just incredible. Smashing the record twice is one team that I think people will have a downer on, but if you actually look a little bit carefully, is Newcastle. Yes, Isak's gone, but think of the players that have come in. You're going to tell me how to pronounce the new centre forward.
Voltemade. Spent enough time in South Africa. You should have got it by now.
And then you've got Visser that's just signed. Then you've got Ramsey.
Yeah.
There's others. Ramsdale.
Elanga is
Elanga.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad. There we go. That's not bad at all.
Just to kind of back you up, people think about. I want to mention a random player, Kvaratskhelia at PSG.
Yeah.
Napoli sold him halfway through last season. They used the money to reconstruct their team, and they went on to win the league. Now, I'm not saying that Newcastle are going to go on to win the league here in England, but what Newcastle are going to do, or have done, as you say, is deepen their squad with lots of players who can fill lots of different roles.
Liverpool did that with Coutinho as well. Sold it. I mean, it was a nightmare at the time. What a great player, but they got real top dollar for him, and then obviously went on to buy some great players, the Van Dijks, the Alissons of this world. So it can have, as much as it is a negative at the time, it can have a positive effect in the future.
I kind of want to go through the clubs and some of the biggest deals. So let's continue with Arsenal, because you've already touched on them. You haven't even mentioned the fact that they brought in Brentford captain at the time, Christian Norgard. So there's more leadership in the team. Pierre Nkapie from Leverkusen on loan, kind of one of the only uncertain ones, deadline day moves still. But the biggest hijack, the biggest drama, the biggest probably football fairy tale was Eberechi Eze. What a U-turn, what a story.
What a story, absolutely, because he was a young player who had a lot of rejections in his career, but his attitude was first class, his qualities undoubted, and he's managed to be consistent at Crystal Palace. Now he's gone to Arsenal, and they've managed to hijack him from Spurs in so doing. A wonderful transfer for him and for the club.
The other thing, I think, what you've got to pay a little bit of attention to in these windows is these great teams now. You know, everybody wants to go to these teams. So it's very hard when you're in such a position of strength. It's very hard to fail. I mean, whether Guéhi goes through or not. I mean, Liverpool are going to be getting a player that's probably worth 70, 80 million in today's market. But because he's only got 1 year left on his contract, they're getting him for half price. And others, there'll be Bosman, type of players all over the country. And you get such an advantage being one of the top teams that everybody, people are going on strike to get to Liverpool at the moment. I mean, that's how good they are and how powerful they are at the minute. So when you're a great team, you get all the great deals as well. Yeah,
I just want to wrap up Liverpool as well before we move on. Florian Wirtz signing that brought a lot of excitement when that was announced. Kerkez as well from Bournemouth. And have we mentioned Frimpong? I know that he's injured as well. Yeah,
and it's only 3 games gone in the Premier League and, of course, the Community Shield. They haven't hit the ground running. Liverpool haven't played that well, even though they've got 9 points out of 9 so far. And those players that we mentioned haven't really set the world alight just yet. But you can only imagine what that team's going to be like in 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, once they start getting used to playing alongside each other. They have done all they've done so much business. This might last them 4 or 5 years now. They might not hardly sign many players now for a long, long time. This team are going to knit. They brought a young player from Italy at centre-half. I mean, they've really refreshed this squad, and this could last a long, long time now. And I don't expect them to all gel straight away. In fact, they haven't all gel straight away. The names that you mentioned there haven't been absolutely top class just yet. But I'm so excited for the future with Liverpool with all these new signings.
Yeah, I think we're kind of just waiting to see how they work out the Ekitike, Isak, how it all works out. And we'll have to wait for the international break, though. What about Chelsea? Because we touched briefly on outgoings at Manchester United. Alejandro Garnacho is one of them. He's gone to Chelsea.
He has indeed. And he's yet another winger for them. Eventually, they'll settle on one or two. But in terms of their overall business, very good indeed. João Pedro, an excellent signing for them. 2 goals in his first 3 Premier League games so far this season. A terrific performance against Fulham as well at the weekend. Liam Delap, he brings that physicality to that forward line. Now you've got a situation where they're not now basically placing all of their hopes on Cole Palmer. He was carrying them on their back on his back for quite some time.
Darren, the Liam Delap injury has had a huge knock-on effect at outgoings at Chelsea. Very interesting situations with Marc Guéhi being recalled from Sunderland in unusual circumstances. Nicholas Jackson, will he, won't he?
Well, he's gone.
Yeah.
He will go. But it did increase the drama around that. He didn't want to come back, certainly not in World Cup. Yeah, he wanted to go and play regular first-team football. Bayern Munich have signed him for £70 million. I'd love for Chelsea to sell my house because £70 million for Nicholas Jackson's a huge amount of money. But it's a great deal as far as he's concerned.
There's certain clubs that sell so well, aren't there?
Yes.
I mean, Chelsea sell really well. Liverpool sell so well. I mean, they sell some of their young players that only play half a dozen games, and then all of a sudden, the likes of Tyler Morton, they've sold for 15 million.
So true.
I mean, they sell so well, and they buy reasonably cheaply as well in many ways. I've already mentioned Isak. If you could call that cheap, everyone was saying 150. You got him 125. Guéhi, if it goes through, as I say, 70-odd million type of player, getting him for 35. They buy so well, and they sell so well as well. It's a great model.
Okay, we are seeing those deal sheets, those confirmed papers, contracts, everything being signed, because we can confirm for you that Piero Hincapié has joined Arsenal on loan from Bayer Leverkusen, so that deal is done.
He's another good piece of business. This is what I mean about Arsenal's business, because they had the best defence in the Premier League last season, and what they are doing is making sure they are set in those positions. In Ecuadorian centre-half, he's a player who is versatile, he is a leader, and I think for them, he's going to be very strong indeed. And overall, Arsenal are still going to be thereabouts when it comes to competing for the title.
Okay, there were also rumours earlier today that Harry Wilson could have been on his way to Leeds, but we can confirm for you that he is staying at Fulham. This is going to go on the entire night. I thought the transfer window is done. I want to move on to Spurs because they recovered from that Eze, and the fan base was really upset about it, obviously. And they signed Xavi Simons, which is a big signing and an impressive signing for them, amongst another couple of signings they've done, which were impressive.
They've not had a bad transfer window at all, and you can't help but think if they could have just beaten Bournemouth the other day, that club would be on a real roll. New manager, playing really well, new signings, great stadium. Everything about the club all of a sudden has turned on its head, and there's a lot of hope around at Tottenham. That was a little bit of a punch in the nose getting beat at home by Bournemouth the other day. Just halted them in their tracks. But no, another team that have done particularly well in the transfer market. But I think the biggest transfer for them is their manager.
The manager,
I think that's worth its weight in gold. What a great manager of people, great guy, and he's one of those managers that you just would love to play for if you were a footballer.
What do you already see a little bit different under him, his Spurs, Thomas Frank Spurs?
The main thing I've seen is the adaptability. They can change. I mean, in the first 3 games, they played 3 different formations. Ange Postecoglou had one only, and it was never going to change. But different challenges, going away to the likes of Manchester City, playing in the Super Cup final against Paris Saint-Germain. They were chop and changing their system for each game. He does like to go man for man a lot of the time. When I've chatted to him before, he really likes going man for man in certain games. So just his adaptability and his willingness to change. Every challenge is different in the Premier League, and he likes to set up his team differently for each challenge that poses.
Yeah, some of the other signings at Tottenham Hotspur, of course, Mohamed Kudus came in from West Ham and João Palhinha returning to the Premier League. Let's look at Manchester City, because we thought there was a rebuild that needed to happen this season. We don't really have much time, but Tijani Reinders, his debut was sensational.
Absolutely. Creative flair that they needed for this reboot. And I think as far as his assists are concerned for Erling Haaland in the game before last, he kind of showed that he is the kind of player that can still take the club forward, because I think as far as City are concerned, it's their defensive worries that are most alarming. In the front six, they've got that quality still. It's going to be whether the likes of Kusanov, who they brought in the earlier window, and Nico Gonzalez just in front of the back four, can get that element of composure and confidence to be able to be solid.
And we are nearly out of time, but very quickly, what happens to James Trafford, who also comes in with Donnarumma potentially also being signed?
Real strange situation. I think Ederson's one of the very best in the world, but looks like he's going to go, and great opportunity for Trafford to come back.
Okay, that's it from Darren and from Michael and myself. We can confirm for you now that, well, we can't confirm yet. It looks like Marc Guéhi's deal could be off and Alexander Isak's deal could be confirmed.